Welcome, fight fans, to Bareknuckle Uncensored. My name is Chris. This is King Dave Leduc. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Chris? How are you?
Good morning. How are you today? What time is it in Turkey?
2 p.m. About to go train in about an hour, and yeah, man, excited about what's happening in the world right now. After a year of shit, now shows are starting to pick up again, and especially in the States, and I'm actually planning to go host a show in Wyoming soon, because otherwise it's hard to get Lethwei legalized anywhere else,
Yeah, you definitely need to do that, and we definitely need to hang out.
I need to try it, but headbutts are not legal.
Yeah. Well, when you were fighting Cyrus Washington last time, you gave him a couple of headbutts.
Yeah, that was fun. Wyoming is the only one right now that legalized headbutts, so I'm waiting for Florida to do it, But
Florida's legalizing, I believe, Jorge Masvidal's bare knuckle mixed martial arts promotion. So we'll talk more about that soon. But I just wanted to say good morning. It's 7 a.m. here in Tampa, Florida. We're going to be starting episode 2, and we have Robin Black, mixed martial artist. Let's keep talking. He left. He's coming back. So let's go. What do you got? What do you want to talk about?
Basically, Robin is a good guy, man. Like he actually commented a fight. His first fight in Lethwei was in Myanmar, so he flew all the way from Canada to Myanmar to commentate WLC 9. So it was the first time I met him, and commenting, and it was such a cool thing. He was wearing the longi, the traditional Lethwei Burmese attire. He really loved it. I want to ask him about this. I want to share his experience there. And then the promotion that I fought for in Wyoming in 2020 November, they got him because Wyoming, Canada is not too far, so they got him to commentate on U.S. soil. So that was cool. So he basically did 2 fights for me in Lethwei, and he has a very poetic way, very unique style compared to other people. He's very very interesting to see. I always tell him, he goes into deeper details, stuff that we don't think about, almost poetic. I never thought you could make headbutts poetic, but he can.
He definitely can.
So Chris, so since we spoke last time, there was the fight with Paige Van Zandt and Rachel. She's cut for UFC.
Yeah, it looks like Paige Van Zandt and Rachel Ostovich are going to fight in bare knuckle in July. It's probably going to be in South Florida. I'm not sure exactly where or Florida, but it was announced yesterday. So they once fought in the UFC, I believe. Right, they fought in the UFC. I believe Paige won. And this one's going to be different rule sets. Two hot chicks, both gorgeous models, OnlyFans pages. Are fixing to get cut up. That's going to be awesome.
I don't know if they're going to make an OnlyFans after the laceration in the face, but it's always interesting to see girls fighting, man. They don't. I respect the shit out of them for not caring about getting the blood and all. And so this also, did you hear about? Oh, by the way, we got a confirmation that next week we have a promoter from the new Bareknuckle organization in Dubai. He's going to come on the show, so next week. So this is something I'm curious to see. He says that he has a lot of people lined up. Most of the guys from the WLC, for people that are just tuning in the show, WLC is the World Lethwei Federation. The World Lethwei Championship, which I was signed with. Right now, there's a lot of problems because of the military coup in Myanmar. Most fighters, they have to stay active. So apparently, he signed them all. So it's going to be a lot of Lethwei fighters, a lot of Muay Thai fighters fighting in Bareknuckle, Muay Thai, and obviously he wants to do Lethwei. So let's see. So next week,
awesome.
Yeah, man, Dubai, and I lived in Dubai for a year, man. It's going to be if it makes it happen. I'll either go as a guest or I'm going to fight on it. We'll see. But that
sounds awesome. What's it like in Dubai? What I see is palaces and money, and what's it like there?
I don't want to say anything bad about the place. I love the it was convenient. You could order anything you want at any time of the day. Beautiful weather, gorgeous settings. It's just like, for me, I didn't think I was going to live there for the rest of my life. Like, I wanted more like more greenery, more forest, more stuff. It's a desert, right? So it's just, but right. it's a beautiful place. Like very, very chic. It's the place, if you want to go party, you go there. You know, like in Dubai, you're not going to miss your spot there. But love our time. We did a year there. I was fucking lean and I was running at 50 degrees Celsius. I was dark, lean. Did 2 fights while I was living there, and now in Turkey for the next fight.
That's awesome. That's a cool story. Yeah. I've never been to Dubai, but I've been all over the world when I was in the military. I'd like to go to Dubai one day. Yeah, it seems like it's a place where you go just party and then be like, whoa, what happened a couple of days later?
Yeah, it's like Dubai is a team party. Like this is the place where everything happens, and then outside it's more like not as chic as, you know, like the main place. So it's very. But what's the best place you've seen when you were in the army? What's your favorite memory?
Probably like Paris and Toulon, France, Sicily, La Maddalena. But my favorite place was probably Gibraltar, because you pull in on the boat and it's like a big, huge like mountain, and you got waterfalls and there's monkeys, and you know, there's some nice women there.
What's the name? Exact name?
Gibraltar.
Okay, Gibraltar. And where is it? What's the neighboring countries?
It's in the Med. It's near Spain.
Okay.
It's in the Mediterranean. Yeah, Gibraltar.
Okay.
It's real nice.
So we have I was gonna say, so Robin's coming soon, and we have we have some fan question as well. Like, people want to ask him some stuff. He's very interesting to talk to. So this, and was gonna say, we have in the next by the way, in Wyoming, we were talking about Wyoming. You know, Sparta, basically the league I fought for last fight.
Sparta SC.
Yeah, we're continuing the Lethwei branch. Like, we basically have Sparta Lethwei. So I was very happy when I heard the news that they're continuing hosting Lethwei, because it was a success. People love it. The people there, so they are looking for fighters. So whoever's watching this, you have a gym, you're a fighter. Send them your application. They're looking for fighters. Yep. Yeah.
Well,
and
Bareknuckle. You're opening. You have a couple gyms. One in Texas, I believe, right? A Lethwei gym. You want to talk about that a little bit?
South Austin Gym represent the guys. Now they're jealous because now everything's open. You know, Texas is open for business. We have we started the Lethwei curriculum there. We have also in New York as well, in Manhattan, Anderson Martial Arts in California, and so we have in Iceland as well, and now recently in Argentina. So the goal, I'm just starting it. I'm not like opening all in one spot, but the goal would be to have like Lethwei affiliated gyms all across the world. So if somebody wants to go train, they can find a Lethwei gym nearby. You know, that's the goal.
That's a good goal there. Sorry, but I might have to find where Robin is. So
okay,
just a second. He's not
in
the queue.
While you're looking at this, so guys, for those, a lot of people have been messaging me in the last since the last podcast, just to confirm all the rule set from, you know, the different terminology. So we said we're going to cover Bareknuckle fighting, Bareknuckle boxing. Bareknuckle boxing, you know, it's a bit different than the BKFC. BKFC, you can do a lot of clinching. While you can't do that in normal boxing with gloves, right? You can't clinch too much. They stop you. In BKFC rules or BKB rules, you can clinch, and as long as you're active, you can continue. They won't cut you off. You know, like if you look at K1, when you have the gloves, if you clinch, it has to be, you know, one knee, 5 seconds or whatever, and then they separate you. You cannot keep your contact the entire time. For those of you asking what's the difference with this and Lethwei, obviously you have all the limbs, you know, in Bareknuckle fighting and BKFC, you can only use your hands. Maybe Chris, can you use shoulder? No, you can't use shoulder.
No, right? No shoulders. In MMA and UFC, you can.
Yeah. Except the headbutts, and that's what yeah.
You know what? I have to look into that rule because I'm not sure about the shoulder in BKFC. I'll have to ask Mr. Feldman. That's a good question, because that's a great tool. King, someone's here.
He's there.
Let's get him on. Robin
Let's
Black,
get
martial
Robin
arts.
on,
You ready?
and,
We're not going to make him wait.
Let's do it.
What is up, guys?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks.
How are you,
good hanging with you guys. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm in Europe working on something. You know, when you're traveling around, yeah, like there's sometimes things are in development. So I'm working on something that's happening this week. It involves some television, like some acting and some fighting analysis. But I think people will hear about it in the next couple of weeks a little more.
Very cool. It's like ninja. You're like on a ninja mission.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so wild. Right now, there's people exploring all kinds of martial arts stuff. Like I've been sort of having contact with people who are trying to do fights in zero gravity. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. There's a filmmaker who's trying to do zero gravity fights. Like there's all kinds of really neat shit happening. It's like people are, I think fighting's becoming more decentralized. You know, things like, say, Lethwei grabbed people's imagination when Dave was over there, and 2016, 2017, 2018, Bareknuckle now, all these different things sort of people are into variety. Once upon a time, you might like white wine or red wine, but then over time, you like wine from different areas of the planet. You like wine of different sweetness and different ages. Exactly. And fighting, it feels like the connoisseurs are interested in more and more different kinds of fighting, which is super cool.
Very shit. I want to do the zero gravity thing and with headbutts allowed with and submission in the air.
Yeah.
Shit, I want to do it. If they don't do it, I'll make it. I'll make the promotion. Fuck, that's cool.
For sure.
Yeah, wow.
But I mean, there's a whole world of people exploring sports and different kinds of things happening in zero gravity. Like we're at a time of risk-taking, change, disruption, and of course it's gonna go into fighting as well. VR, all these things are going over into martial arts, and because I'm kind of the guy who likes to explore in different ways, I end up kind of connecting with some of these people and talking about it. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool shit happening right now.
That's what I was saying to Chris. You know, you have a very unique way, and literally unique. You're the only one in the world that's like fighting into like a poetic way. And I told you many times, you know, it's like you're like making Lethwei or Bareknuckle boxing romantic. You know, you find other things that I don't even know about. And that's really hats off to you, because it makes it interesting. You know, we often hear after thousands of hours of commenting, you hear sometimes the same shit, but you go in different patterns, and of course, you know, in everything, when you break barriers, which you do, we get a lot of lovers, a lot of fans, but also some haters, and but that's a good sign. I remember when I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I don't think I know Darren Hart. He's the founder of Success Magazine, the Success Mag, and he said something that marked me. And he said, Dave, not Dave directly, but I remember this. He said, guys, because he's talking to us in private, the goal is to get as much haters as possible. I'm like, what? You seem such a good guy. You know, he said, hey, you know, guys, the more haters you get, the more fans you'll get, the more people you're going to touch. And it's because, but yeah, what I'm impressed is that in the last year, you lost your page on Instagram, and in a matter of less than a month, you got your 100K back, and it was impressive. So that shows how many people love you.
People, yeah, it's a nice thing. Like it is a really kind of exciting time, and doing something different, as long as it's authentic to you, as long as it's who you are, people connect to that. I mean, Joe Rogan certainly helped. When he posted that I had lost my page, like 40,000 people found me immediately. So that certainly helped. Yeah. But yeah, I think you should have people.
Let's be fair, Robin. If your page is shit, people are still not going to follow, whatever, you know.
Right. It's true, but I do think if you're trying to pioneer anything, or you're trying to explore things, or you're taking risks, you will have to have haters, because a lot of people like things to stay the same. There's a large percentage of the world that just do not like change. So if you do something especially now, so if you do something in a different way, but what I do in the world of fighting is no different than what people have done for thousands of years in music and art and theater and all of these things. If you look at something long enough, you examine it deep enough, you peel different layers to it. And they're not just layers of how we move, but they're layers of what it means. They're layers of what it is to be a human being doing this thing. And so over time, when you said romantic, to me, it can be religious, it can be romantic, it can be terrifying, it can be visceral, it can be violent, it can be vulgar, it can be elegant. Fighting is all of these things, right? All of these things. And
Perfect
how
example.
and why we can just yell, big right hand, dish out some ground and pound, it's all over. I mean, I can't do that. I cannot. I didn't do this. I didn't examine this deeply to just scream knockout power in both hands over and over again for 20 years. I have to see it in deeper ways, in more meaningful ways over time.
What do you think about the commentating, the traditional commentating in Lethwei? Hiya! Hiya!
I appreciate it.
You heard it?
Yeah,
have you heard it?
I have, and I appreciate it because it's passion, right? But passion's an interesting one. You know, I don't want to be negative about people's work because there's lots of people doing stuff, but a lot of times now fighters become commentators. And somewhere in the back of their mind, they think the first thing they have to do is passion. They gotta have passion. But the passion has to be real. It can't be like a default, oh my God, look at this. That's just inauthentic. It has to be real, and it's real by deeply connecting to it. It's not real by putting on a broadcaster voice, right? So over time, it just becomes fighting. And you know this, every year you look at it differently. Every month you look at it differently. It means something different to you. You learn about life by fighting and examining fighting, and Lethwei, Bareknuckle, all these ones that are a little more visceral now. You get an even deeper look into who you are when you fight. You know, that cliche, the moment of truth. That's the best cliche ever. This is truthful. This is absolute truth. When you're fighting a man in a ring or a cage, in your underpants, bloodied, like when you fought Cyrus, you were so bloodied and bashed up your own hands and your own legs and your own head so much to do that. That is such a truthful experience.
You're like naked there. You're like really. It's a moment. You're like you lived it in a cage too. Like it's just you feel alive. I felt alive after that, and I would talk about alive. I felt like in the last year, you really started to dig into like philosophy of life in a way. You know, and you're posting, and I saw this change in you, and it's really really cool. Can you tell us like what's your mentality? Because you've been posting a lot of like quotes, you know, and stuff about life.
So it's cool that you see that because that feels really honest. Like, I don't care if you study microbiology or how to make coffee or fighting or physics or whatever. If you study something deeply enough, first you look at, who's Dave Leduc and who's he fighting? And then what technique is he using? Then where did he learn that? And then you look at the history. And eventually you're left with nothing but philosophy. How and why is this? Who are we? What is this about? Like inevitably,
what are we doing here?
Examining. Yeah, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of all this? If you examine anything deeply enough, you will be forced to ask those questions. And I'm not a religious man. I like science. I like art. I like learning about the universe by examining fighting and movement and human beings. But so inevitably, I'm going to run into the questions of who are we? What are we doing here? What is this about? And that's the beauty of studying anything, so dedicating your life to studying anything so deeply is, and Musashi said it, like, and Rogan said it to me the first time I met him, is like, Miyamoto Musashi, to know the way broadly is to see it in all things. So if you examine fighting deeply enough, you see fighting in cooking, you see fighting in a relationship with your brother, you see fighting in a hotel, you see fighting in business, 100%, you see fighting everything. And that's kind of where I've got to now. There's metaphors, there's deep meaning in these things, there's a philosophical angle to trying to understand anything. It feels to me inevitable that if you study anything long enough, you're trying to study everything. You're trying to study it to understand all things.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me too. I actually I think about that every day almost. What the fuck are we doing here? Am I just gonna live for 100 years if I'm lucky and then die and I'm gonna start to rot?
You think about that every day, King?
Yeah, I really am. I
So
really
do I.
do.
So do I.
Yeah.
Me too. It's crazy.
Yeah. guys, you think I'm crazy, but I even go deeper now. I'm like, if because we don't know nothing. From what we know is we're gonna die, right? That's for sure. And then there's claims that there's stuff happening afterwards. We don't know that. I even go deeper. I'm like, well, if there's no meaning, if there's nothing after that, so I could literally just like a meteorite right now kills us all and nothing would change. Like I could die right now and nothing happens. And so you basically find, I guess, a reason to continue. And I have my partner, have fun. But at one point, it's going to cease to exist. That's the scary part.
But it's also, that is honest truth. We can tell ourselves all types of mythologies to make us feel better about that if we want. Or we can embrace that as truthful. A meteorite could hit the Earth tomorrow, today, 20 minutes from now. So how the fuck are you going to live your life? How are you going to live your life knowing that it will end, knowing that at any minute it will end? And it can be a powerful thing too, to look at your wife or your family or your best friend and think, this person will die. And I hope they don't die in 20 minutes or in a year or 3 years. But if they were to, how would I treat them now?
Yeah.
And the answer is I'll treat them special the way they should be treated. And we can think that about ourselves and the world around us. And if if it's all gonna mean nothing, what can we do that's meaningful to influence the world around us in some way that they can learn or change or grow? And these are the deep things that if you study fighting long enough, you study anything long enough, you will have to address these questions.
Yeah. Bareknuckle Uncensored, guys. We talk about life, but in a way, we do what we like because we only have one life to live. You commentate the fights I fight, like we do all the things that we love because I think the conclusion of this little topic is live life like you're gonna die. Don't live life like you're gonna live it for eternity. Like if you're gonna work at something that you want to do because it's gonna be a long life otherwise. So do something to work.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that fight you wanted to bring up there, King.
I wanted to ask, first of all, we had some questions for fans for you, Robin. They wanted to know because you commented Bareknuckle fighting. You commented. Tell us not all of them because you did so many, but the Bareknuckle stuff. It was Bareknuckle boxing, Bareknuckle Lethwei. Anything else that was gloveless?
So gloveless. That is a very good question.
Vale Tudo?
Yes, I have done some sort of free fighting in different kinds of environment. Vale Tudo free fighting. I have done. I think those are the only things bare knuckle.
Let's combine the ones you analyze as well. So Dambe, I guess. So,
yes, Dambe is bare knuckle on one hand, and then it's wrapped with rope on the other. Dambe is a Nigerian combat sport. It's beautiful. But
you said Nigerian, Robin?
Yeah.
Okay, like we're Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman from Nigeria. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if you ever tried it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You wrap it in a rope, and back in the day, they used to dip it in glass too.
Yeah. It would be nice to super fight Kamaru and Izzy together, two Nigerian boys with their Dambe fist.
Yeah, and let them dip it out of tradition. And one of the greatest experiences ever in my life, and it actually was one of the key things to having me see this all very different, was I went to St. Petersburg, Russia, and I commentated the World Combat Games, and I was the only color commentator. There were 3 play-by-play men, and I was the only color commentator. I did 18 different martial arts over 13 days. Sumo, Sambo, Taekwondo, Karate, Savate, which is a kicking sport that was developed on the docks in Paris that the Navy guys developed as a game, and you can only score with the toes. I mean, if there's multiple kinds of wrestling, pancration was bare knuckle. But yeah, there was just a belt wrestling, like an old style. I don't know if you've ever seen it. 2 big men. It's like a modified sumo, and they have a belt around their body, and they get a grip of it.
I've never seen that.
And it's cool. If you just go on YouTube and go belt wrestling, you'll probably find me commentate it. But that one for me, I would do 6, 8, and sometimes 10-hour days. You're trying to preserve your instrument, but you would go from Sanda, which is what Kung Lee used to do, which is punches and kicks, takedowns and throws. It's it's like Lethwei without headbutts, modified and safer. But it is
that's my style. I started. That's what I started in. That's my roots. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, in Canada.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So you would go from that to later in the day, you would be doing Muay Thai. And then later in the day, you'd be doing sumo. And being forced to contextualize it, all so different, only hours apart, made me start to understand that what you can and cannot do is what dictates how the fighting will look, right? Sandan, for example, there's no knee. So as soon as we grab, we'll throw our hips back because we cannot knee. But in Muay Thai, if we throw your hips back, you'll knee immediately. What you can and cannot do shapes the places you can move to safely and unsafely. And so doing all of those, and I mean, I would sit from one, move to the other in the course of a day, different rounds, different times, different weapons, different everything. And it forced me. And then I started to really love those kind of amateur shows. So I went and did the World Sanda Championships, the World Kung Fu Championships, Taekwondo at the Pan American Games. So I sought out all of these tournament style ones where you would literally do 20 and 30 and 40 fights a session, 2-3 sessions a day. So I was just downloading all this information. Yeah. And so now the reason Lethwei is so appealing is it's kind of like once you can put everything back, all of the weapons, all of the possibilities, and you put it all back, that's where you get the purest fighting. So that's why once I discovered, and then you remove the padding, and once I discovered Lethwei, it's a striking sport, and with the throws and the grappling, the takedowns and slams, and all of those elements, it is the purest form of fighting. And so anyone who's a true connoisseur of the art, not of the hype, not of the selling divisions and the belts, and that kind of stuff can be cool, but in many ways it distracts you from the art itself. So Lethwei became the purist, and then I started to really fall in love with bare knuckle boxing. I commentate BKB in London, and that's an old. They're like, they came right down from the old traditional guys. There's like Irish travelers and Scottish guys, a lot of Welsh fighters, and they're true old school gentlemen. And so it's a completely different, it's got the history and the tradition. You interview them before and after the fight together. They have their arm around each other. All they talk about is how they are to fight this guy. Like, how honored they're going to be to share it. Yeah, it's a real, and BKB is really cool. Yeah. You don't have to do that. That's kind of the thing. It's like the more everybody's buddy, the more powerful creating animosity can be because it's so unfulfamiliar, right?
Yeah.
The power of...
King, you have a problem with the before and after. Can you explain that?
I think Robin saw it like when he was in Myanmar. Like I was not able to be friendly. I don't know. I think I'm a friendly guy outside the ring. You can tell me otherwise, boys, if you don't think so. But I don't know. There's like a switch before the fight, and I feel a bit like Arten said yesterday. You know, like in the other podcast. Like I feel like he wants to hurt me, he wants to humiliate me, he wants to take away what's my status, my income, everything, and I feel insulted. So I kind of have a hard time, and I kind of put myself in that zone because again, I feel like I'm so kind that I need to piss myself off a little bit, and then after that, you know, be friends after that.
The Diaz brothers are the same. The Diaz brothers, literally, when you sign the contract, you have decided to be their enemy. And there's a lot of fighters like that. And if I'm being honest, that's the most honest way to do it. To be friends is to almost ever so gently try to reduce the pressure. Oh, look at what a nice guy is. Isn't it going to be an honor? Like in your mind, you're trying to bring the temperature down. And if we both kind of start doing that, then together we bring the temperature down, but it's a lie. Because really we are trying to, only one of us is going to win. Only one of us is going to get the spoils of it. I was doing a breakdown today on the kid Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia wins his fight with a body shot and in the 7th round. And I go back to the 2nd round where he gets dropped. Yeah. And if he doesn't get up, so we live in a reality right now where Ryan Garcia is undefeated. He's a star. He made a lot of money. Canelo's clapping in the crowd. And we know he's courageous, and we know he's tough, and we know he's fearless, and he can get up when he's knocked down. If he doesn't get up, this reality doesn't exist. Instead, we live in a reality where everyone says that kid's a fraud. He was all hype. He was all bullshit hype, train derailed. This kid sucks. Those two realities are both sitting there at that moment. That is what happens. And that's true of every moment of every fight. Like, we shouldn't pretend that we aren't there taking brain damage from a guy who's trying to take your money and your influence and your success away from you. That's the truth.
Yeah.
A perfect example.
Really makes a lot of sense.
A perfect example, what you're saying, Robin, is Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler had him down. It was real close to getting stopped.
Yeah.
Go to the second round, flips around. Charles Oliveira finishes him and new.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is a weakness in how we're all seeing the world right now. We will choose. I'll watch Fox News or I'll watch MSNBC, and only one thing is right. It is correct. The other guys are completely idiots, and the only thing that matters is the outcome. If you can't look at that, so Michael Chandler loses. And the large percentage of people go, see, he was bullshit. He never should have got that title shot. That guy sucks. He's just inflated. The hype machine. Like, they just start assigning meaning to it. How they cannot see that if that left hook does not land, Mike instead moves this way or this way or this way. That left hook doesn't land. Everything, we're in an entirely different reality. Or those punches at the end of round one, a ref decides to stop it. So
Exactly.
Charles Oliveira was overhyped. If you can't understand that those two things are both possible, and through only some tiny choice, movement, fluke, luck, passion, something Dave trained 11 years ago is the key to that moment, the moment that he wins the fight. And if you don't understand that these things all hang on a hair, then you don't understand the world around you. Like, if you think Michael Chandler sucks because one left hook landed, and you don't think, and you would think Charles Oliveira sucks if that fight was ended, you're missing the understanding of the universe around you. And
absolutely.
And and a lot of us are. A lot of us don't understand the world.
Everything can change in one moment, basically, and that's how crazy and that's how crazy fighting world is, actually. And
absolutely.
I really resonate with what you're saying. Really resonates. Makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I'd like to ask a couple questions. I know King's got training, and I know, Robin, you have something to do shortly. So I wanted to ask a couple questions. My question is, I wanted to jump right into Bareknuckle Fighting Championship.
Okay.
I work for David Feldman at Bareknuckle Fighting Championship. I do some stuff with promoting the product and pushing the pay-per-views and whatnot. And they just announced two former UFC women's fighters, Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich. Both models, both beautiful. Tell me how you see that fight going down, sir.
So Paige's husband, Austin, has kind of become a friend of mine. So I'm kind of following a little bit of how they're training, how they see the world. She has more to lose. She's the more famous of the two. There's a lot of pressure. Interesting path. Like, the fight itself is going, and this is the case always, it's going to come down to who zigs when they should have zagged, who's slightly more in shape, who gets the right punch at the right time, all of those things. But the pressure on Paige is very high. Like, she comes out, she was fighting in the UFC, and from what I understand, these are not absolute facts, these are things I hear. The UFC offered her, like, this much money, like whatever that is, compared to what she can make just on Instagram. It was not enough. So she goes over, and of course her husband is in Bellator. So once she's free to go, Bellator's offering money, but then BKFC offered even more and an even more flexible thing. So she goes there and then loses, right? That's a lot of pressure. Like, the distance from big and famous and everybody's talking about you to losing one time to now sitting there in that spot is a lot of pressure. I think she's good at dealing with it. She's probably going to, she'll have access to higher level training. They moved to Florida too.
American
so she's
top
training
team.
So she's training with really high level, Joanna Jędrzejczyk and high level people. I would put her skill wise and talent and drive wise as a favorite in most fights and fights like this, but that extra variable and the pressure is real. It's real. It's a cool fight. I haven't watched quite as much of the BKFC just because, these days I have so many pieces I'm working on and so many places I'm contributing to, Bellator, and a few that are in work right now that I'm not supposed to yet talk about, and a few other things, traveling, commentating. Yeah, Sparta. I want to do the King of Sparta down there, CES. There's a lot of different things I'm contributing to, so it's hard for me to even consume the stuff that I can't even watch some of the UFC undercards right now because
it's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Too much.
But the sense that I get is these guys put on cool fights. They bring in cool fighters. They got there's a lot of the excitement and stuff. I don't know. I actually haven't spoken to David. I'd love to at some point, and I always think you can bring in more history, more science, more details, more philosophy, more learning about life. You can bring these elements even into a very exciting, dramatic environment like the KFC is. But I'd love to chat with him sometime and throw a few perspectives in there. I think it's something cool he's doing. And I think, I don't
Here's
think
their next card. I'm going to bring it up on the screen, Robin.
Yeah, let's see it.
Next month. You got, Joey Beltran.
Yeah, of course.
Joey Beltran.
Yeah.
Hector Lombard. You got Luca Palomino. BKB.
Palomino.
Yeah, good John. And then you got Thiago Alves versus Uli Diaz.
That's killer.
Very familiar faces to you.
Yeah, man. Good John. I commentated a couple of his fights when he was over in England. Depends how sharp he is, because when he's sharp and he's making everybody miss. And
Tyler? You talking about Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler, yeah.
Yes.
Dave, how many times do you want to smash your fist into a guy bare knuckle in a fight? Your right hand. 6,
not a lot.
12, 21, not 100, right? So when Good John's making people miss and landing sharp, he's good. But Palomino's a fucking tough fight too. That's a cool card. It's a really cool card. I'll be watching that one for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's,
Dave, is it fair to say, Robin, that you're the most versatile, commentator and an analyst in all of fighting sports? That's my opinion. I think you're the one that commented the most diverse amount of fighting in history of fighting sport. Think about it. It's insane.
No one knows what he knows. No one.
I honestly do not think any human has commentated more different martial arts than me. And I don't think that anyone's commentated more fights than me. So if I look at, say, take Joe, right? Joe's the best. Joe's taught more people about martial arts than anyone. If Joe has commentated 200 pay-per-views and 200 others, there's 4,000 fights. You can commentate 400 fights in a tournament. You can commentate 400 Sandow fights at the World Wushu Championships. That's 10% of that.
You keep track of all them, because we should apply for a Guinness World Record.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. No, I haven't. And then you go. I just saw your friend Boss Rutan too. I was working with him on a project, and he said the same.
I think I have an idea then, because I was talking with Bass last week, and I know where he was. Yeah, he was in Hungary. I don't know.
Yeah. I've been traveling around. I've got a few stops to make, but so I've been doing something with Boss. That's
you guys, I don't know for you guys, but I know.
Yeah. So we'll start hearing about that project in late June probably. It'll be on American TV too. But I was telling Boss, we went back. My friend John Ramdeen and I, we commentated. They made 200 best of Pancrase and best of Sengoku or Sendoku, which one is the game and which one's the fighting. There were just 400 right there, and we would do 15 to 20 fights. So that's almost 5,000 fights just doing classic best of Japanese. Then there's thousands of fights, sumo, sambo, you name it. So it has to be 10,000 fights, 500 fight cards would be 5,000. So yeah, I've done 10,000 fights. And then you add another 3,000-4,000 analysis videos. I'll do 7, and I did 8 in the last 3 days for the project I'm working on here. And then 2, I've probably done 20 or 30 this month. And that's kind of the thing. If you understand how skill development works, whether you're a rapper or you're a podcaster or you're a fighter, skill development works by doing. You have to do. then study yourself, and then get feedback, analyze your own work, and then do more. In the course of a month, if you were to do 2 television broadcasts and do 2 arrow things, I might have done 60 in that time to stack on the other 600 I've done in the last couple of years. So you just start to connect to it differently, and that's your job. You know, my job isn't to yell, oh my God, it's over, or big right hand over and over and over again for the next 20 years. That's not my job. My job is to enrich the experience for the audience, try to help them connect to something in a more meaningful way, and excite them and thrill them, and to do justice to your work when I'm commentating you fight. That's my job.
And you do your job best out of anybody. Yeah, you're the best at what you do, Robin.
Yeah, thanks.
I really think so. And Robin, so somebody asked me to so all the fights that you did, because obviously my community is all about Lethwei. They said who has not fought Lethwei, whatever sport it is, could it be sumo, dambe, I don't know, like bare-knuckle boxing. Who would you like to see with headbutts allowed, with skull strike allowed in Lethwei? So
Nate Diaz.
Diaz.
Nate Diaz or Jorge Masvidal. When those 2 guys fought, they brought the 2 guys who are the most able to fight in the rawest way possible. You were there for that fight, I remember.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. It was a shame that he got the blood, the scar tissue.
That's probably a problem for Nate Diaz if he fights that way.
A couple strikes, he's gonna be cut, and it's not gonna be good. You're right.
And with all due respect to Nate, how about Nick Diaz? Like, and I know Nick is in great shape right now. And it's interesting when I've commentated your fights, particularly the one in Wyoming, you fought it as a aerobic athlete, not as an anaerobic athlete, although there's an anaerobic element. You were in elevation too, which is crazy. Yeah. But you fight it like a distance runner, right? And a lot of people, like, let's take Kamaru Usman. You mentioned him earlier. Kamaru Usman fights as an anaerobic athlete. Sprint, recover, sprint, recover, sprint, recover. Whereas you fight like a middle distance runner. True. Michael Bisping kind of fought that way too. And Nick Diaz does too. So there's that element as well. You got to be fearless enough. And even when I was first commentating, and you got to can manage your energy. Exactly. You have to be able to be calm in the chaos. Yeah. I mean, and Nate's scar tissues would be a challenge, and Nate would be certainly in favor of his brother doing it instead. So maybe we'll go with Nick Diaz.
That's awesome.
That's a good answer. Brings me, and another question is basically, after all this, who is Robin Black? If you had to say like a sentence, who's Robin Black? Or 2 sentences.
I analyze martial arts as a way to understand the world around me, and I share what I find.
That's outstanding. Wow. So powerful.
And I think
it's amazing.
Everybody thanks you for bringing this utter reality to fighting. I'll speak for myself. I thank you for that. And we shared some good conversation in Myanmar, in Wyoming on the way, and hopefully there's more to come for this, because it's a pleasure to do this and to have you comment in my fights. And so and by the way, little scoop, I'm starting a Lethwei promotion, and so we'll talk.
Yes, well, it would be my honor to commentate it. So
actually, you know what gave me the idea, Robin, is actually Bass. You mentioned him. I was speaking with Bass, and I said in 1999 he did a thing called the Bass Routine Invitational, and this was one of the best things he's done. It was in his prime, and he said, we had a good time. So I'm like, and that was for MMA. I'm like, and he's like, why don't you do it for Lethwei? Why don't you do a Dave Leduc Invitational? So that's what we're gonna do.
And we're gonna do it in Wyoming or Florida,
maybe both.
Or Dubai.
We're in. No, it's gonna be in the States. I think we're in talks right now with the commission in Wyoming, so I can tell you that
they're great. They're great. Yeah. I'll be ready.
In Florida, I'm in Florida, Robin, and here in Florida, Jorge Masvidal is starting his new Bareknuckle
Yes.
MMA. It's MMA without gloves. He's starting that here in Florida.
His
about
manager, Abe Kawa, and I have chatted about me maybe contributing commentary or analysis to that too.
Nice.
Actually, I'm in Europe, mainland Europe right now, and he's in Miami, I think. So I don't know what time it is there, but later
it's quarter
today.
of 8. It's 7:45. I'm here. I'm here in South Florida.
Okay, I will wait a couple hours, and then I'm going to text Abe and chat about that again. Because honestly, Bareknuckle MMA, we're missing the headbutts. But if you brought the headbutts in, you pretty much have the purest. Personally, I know this is a whole other can of worms. Maybe it's one for us for another day. Yes. I think the best rules for fighting would be no rules. And I know that I'd like to teleport.
KO to win? KO to win?
2 years. Yeah, no time limit.
Okay.
I'd like to travel 2 years in the future. Yeah. But I'd like to travel 2 years into the future where we've figured out how to never get eye gouged, never get bit. And the martial arts will develop in such a way that we will minimize ever having that happen. The problem is the 2 years where it's first happening, we're going to lose a lot of eyes and we're going to have a lot of faces bitten. So unfortunately, that's why we'll never be able to do this. But if we could travel to further in the future where we know how to defend ourselves against these super dangerous techniques, that would be the purest martial arts you could have. But like I said, it would be difficult to get there because there's going to be a lot of carnage. So we'll probably never have that.
As we speak, awesome. I think Vale Tudo, I think we can all agree that Vale Tudo with headbutts, bare knuckle fighting, and ground everything, I think it's the most complete martial art. And striking wise, well, we have Lethwei for that. And but I'm really curious. I think Chris, we should get in touch to get Jorge to see what's the plan.
I'd love to. Maybe Robin can drop a message. We'd like to get Jorge and his manager on the show and actually talk about how they're going to bring the product to the fans.
Yeah, I'll send him a message. I'll mention it as soon as I chat with him.
Awesome. I think King, you have things to do. Robin has things to do. I think we should do a part 2 soon.
Yeah.
I want to know more about what you're planning in Budapest right now. So we have to chat more.
We do too. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Yeah,
you
part 2.
You want
to
close it out, guys?
Yeah. I think we do part 2 late June. By then, I'll be able to talk about this, and we'll have all kinds of new stuff. But until then, enjoy the hostilities, my friends.
Perfect.
You cannot beat that ending.
Well, we appreciate your time, Robin. Be safe out there. We look forward to seeing you stateside. Dave, we'll talk later on today. And Bareknuckle Uncensored podcast, episode 2. We're done here. Take care, fans.